Tonight's show is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Well, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Really do appreciate it. We come together right after the Braves just took down the Orioles in the final game of the series to get the series split, thank goodness. But the Braves do find themselves in yet another series loss again to the Baltimore Orioles. Real quick, of course, in Game 1, Max Fried, not his best night. He only threw 5 innings, gave up 4 runs. The offense had an even worse night. They were held scoreless. Atlanta would lose that game 4-0. In Game 2, this was interesting. Spencer Schwellenbach got another start. That was a almost kind of a nice little nod, like, hey, look, I know your first outing wasn't too great, but your second one's going to be much better, which it was. He threw 6 innings pitched. He only gave up 2 earned runs, and he just looked a lot more comfortable on the mound. Hopefully we get to see him throughout this season develop and get even better. So again, a much better outing. Unfortunately, Olson's 2-run homer would not be enough for the Braves to win, as Joe Jimenez would give up a 2-run homer late, as the Orioles do win it 4-2. And then, of course, today, Ronaldo Lopez. If nothing else, Ronaldo Lopez is consistent. 6 innings pitched today, scoreless, 8 strikeouts. Pierce Johnson did give up a 3-run homer to Cal Stowers. But overall, I thought today was pretty good. An entertaining game, which I got to be honest with you, those have been kind of few and far between so far this year. Kellenic made a great catch. Michael Harris almost made a great catch there in the outfield. Ozuna had a 2-run double, which was big. Ozzie had an RBI. Arcia had an RBI double. Olson had an RBI double. And I mentioned those names real quick because I really wanted to focus on one of them, and that was, of course, Matt Olson. We've spoken quite a bit about what the Braves offense hasn't been, and Olson and Riley are the 2 names that seem to always come up, whether it be from me or from you or from social media in general or just the water cooler conversation is, man, when are these guys going to heat up? I think we're here. Matt Olson has looked a lot better. Austin Riley still kind of coming out of it, but Matt Olson, forget what he did early this year. Matt Olson has looked a lot better at the plate. He's looking like he's connecting with the ball. His swing isn't as late. He's looking a lot more controlled at the plate, and I think we're finally going to see, Snick called it the light at the end of the tunnel. We're finally seeing that light at the end of the tunnel with Matt Olson. Now, if the rest of the offense can follow suit, I really think we'll be in a much better place than what we have been so far. And continuing on that trend, I wanted to give you a positive perspective because I could come on here and give you the Frank the Tank style rant about how much the Braves have stunk it up this year. I don't do that. That's not who I am. I will acknowledge that the Braves have lost 5 in a row for the first time since 2017. For the record, that's the year I graduated high school, so it's been a while since that happened. So from 2018 to 2 months into 2024, I mean, you're talking 5 years plus that the Braves did not have 5 losses in a row. That's pretty darn impressive. Does it seem negative now? Sure. But I think it's more of a compliment than it is a nudge on this year. Yes, it's certainly a, hey guys, what are we doing for this season? But it just shows you how impressive the Braves have been year in, year out in winning series or forcing series to be split or whatever the case may be. They do not have these long, time periods of losing. It's rare. And now that we're having one, of course, we all feel this just, bad taste in our mouth because the Braves, we're not used to this. It doesn't happen much. It took a lot for this to happen. The reigning MVP had to get injured. A potential Cy Young candidate had to get injured. So for me, it's a little bit more palatable to me because if everybody was just fully healthy and we didn't have any injuries and we had the record we had right now being 10 games back of the Phillies, I would feel bad about it. I would feel terrible about it. But being that the Braves have found themselves in a situation where they are battling injuries, they are battling absences, being that that's the case, it's a little easier for me to say, okay, look, yes, it stinks. It absolutely stinks. It stinks to watch sometimes, right? I think we all have been there at least at one point this year. But at the same time, I also realize, hey, this isn't the team that was meant to be on the field, at least not in its entirety. And yes, there's no excuse for how bad the offense has been. I'm going to read through some stats. This is since May 1st. Some of you might have seen this graphic making the rounds on social media a couple of nights ago. But since May 1st, the Braves have a 224 average. This is, of course, going into today. That was 28th in Major League Baseball, so bottom tier. They had a 659 OPS. That's 27th in Major League Baseball. Again, bottom tier. 87 WRC plus, bottom tier, 27th. 36 homers. They're 17th in Major League Baseball. Not as bad as some of these other stats, but when you consider that they broke the record or tied the record last year for home runs by a team, it's pretty surprising. Only 9 stolen bases. That's 29th in Major League Baseball. Keep in mind, they had a guy who had 70 of them last year, so just keep that in mind. 127 runs so far this year. That's 28th in Major League Baseball since May 1st. So, yeah, it was a rough month and a half, really, that this has been. But they do lead in one stat, and this is the positive note that I want to end this on. They lead in one stat, and that stat is hard hit percentage. They have a 36.8 hard hit percentage, first in Major League Baseball. Now, that doesn't tell us everything. It's no excuse. I get all of that. But what it does tell us is, hey, they're getting a little unlucky sometimes. Whether it be that they hit the ball and you feel like it should go out. I'm not going to get into any conspiracy theories tonight, but you feel like it should go out and then it doesn't. Whether it be that or whether it be you hit it right at somebody or just whatever the case may be. Maybe they're not translating into runs all the time. You're not putting anything together. There's a lot of different reasons why that could be the case. But what we do know is this. All we can say is that, hey, hopefully it pans out and it evens out and the next few months of the season go a little bit easier, because so far it has been quite a difficult task for these Braves hitters to really make anything out of it. And, look, I think the good news that we can take from it right now coming out of this Orioles series, Alex Anthopoulos spoke to the media the other day. The good news is the rest of the National League has not played very well. If you look at, if the season was to end today, and you look at where the Braves would be, we qualify for a wild card spot. Granted, we don't have a very good lead on it, only a half-game lead. That is not where we want to be. The Reds, the Cubs, the Cardinals, they're all hoping that we fall out. But, even the Pirates, even the Diamondbacks, even the Nationals are 1.5 game out. That is not where we want to be. And the Nationals, for some reason, have our number. That is so just not where we need to be. And it just puts a terrible taste in your mouth. But for the Braves right now, I really feel like we're on the cusp of breaking out. And I've said that before. You're really starting to see it with Matt Olson. You're starting to see the development. You're starting to see it. But I also think at some point a shot in the arm is going to be needed. So it reminds me, it gives me the same vibe that I had in 2021, because at some point in 2021, I was sitting there going, maybe this just isn't our year. Maybe this just isn't the time for the Braves to figure it out. And, I've had that, thought, I'm sure as many of you have had so far this year. The Phillies look great. We find ourselves not really competitive against the Dodgers at one point this year. The Brewers look really good. The Giants are competitive. The Padres with their payroll are looking good this year. So I've had that thought, but I also try not to rush to concern, right? I try to be, realistic, but I also try to not rush to concern. And I don't want us to rush to concern, because that does tend to happen, year after year. You have people saying, just throw the towel in. It's over. It's not going anywhere. They're not doing anything this year. And a lot of us thought the same thing in 2021. So, It's not exactly like 2021. I mean, things are different. You have some similarities, mainly that you've lost not only Ronald Acuna, but also Spencer Strider. I mean, you have those similarities, but I definitely think that they're only a couple of pieces away from really being an elite team. Unfortunately, we lost those pieces due to injury, but never underestimate Alex Anthopoulos. When we come back, we're going to talk about Alex Anthopoulos. We're going to talk more about what he had to say to the media. That is coming up. So when we get back, before we get back, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck and, of course, with your Atlanta Braves. But please do us the biggest favor and like the video.
Now at GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika, own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $12,500 off. Roomy and comfortable, the compact SUV GMC Terrain is up to $7,750 off. And GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7 are now discounted up to $7,000 off. Plus, enjoy no payments until fall at GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Make your way to GLYNN Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. Chevy's full-size pickup truck, the powerful Chevy Silverado, is up to $12,000 off. And big Chevy Silverado 2500 HDs are discounted up to $6,000 off. Plus, enjoy no payments until fall. Make your way to GLYNN Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Now at GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika, own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $12,500. Roomy and comfortable, the compact SUV GMC Terrain is up to $7,750 off. Acadias with spacious rows and are now discounted up to $7,000 off. Plus, enjoy no payments until fall at GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
A little bit early, but happy to have you here, and of course happy that we have a Braves win to follow. We talked already about how up and down this year has been. It's been had a lot more downs than it has ups for a large part of the year. But Alex Anthopoulos, the last time we were here, we discussed another interview that he had. He had yet another interview with the media, just the general media, and he had a few nuggets here that I wanted to mention. I've mentioned in a previous video that I did where I told you that Alex Anthopoulos basically confirmed that he would be active. This was the interesting quote that I thought was kind of telling as to where we are this year, and it's quote from Alex Anthopoulos, the man himself: "I've been more active than I've been in the past." He's referring to, of course, this season. He's probably been calling and seeing more along the lines of where everybody is. So to me, all those theories that you guys have brought up, all the theories that you guys have mentioned, I think they're all on the table when it comes to Alex Anthopoulos and where they stand in general, because as of right now, the Braves don't have a ton to stand on. They need a shot in the arm. They have plenty of talent, but they need a shot in the arm, just like in 2021 when the Braves did sign Jock Peterson. They need a shot in the arm to say, hey, guys, this comes from the front office down. We're not giving up on this year. Yes, we're 10 games back of the Phillies in the division, but we have a chance if we make the postseason. And frankly, to get to the postseason, I think they need a shot in the arm sooner rather than later. I mentioned in the last stream that we did a week and a half ago that, hey, they very well may have to limp into July. And right now, if the Braves are to do anything, it sure seems like they're going to be limping into July. And they don't want that, right? They want to be competitive. They want to, do something. But to me, what the message it's giving me is that it seems like that the Braves have to basically perform at a level that justifies giving more assets to the team, right? Because sure, you can sit here and point at, hey, we may need this, we may need that, but at the end of the day, the front office is not going to do that unless you're talking about doing, you're talking about the offense has made some improvements. And yes, we've seen Olsen make improvements, but I think the general offense has got to show that they can be competitive in the postseason and for the remainder of the regular season. I think they have to show that they're going to do something. And the front office, in turn, has got to show, hey, we're willing to give you, a reliever or two. We're willing to give you a starting pitcher or a bat or whatever the case may be. I certainly think a bat is going to be brought in if the Braves are competitive enough or within range in the National League to get a wild card spot, potentially the division. It's never too late. But I definitely think the one thing that I took away from what he had to say was that the Braves will be active. That was something I had already made my mind up about. But when you look at the standings right now, when you look at where we stand, we're right there in the mix. We are qualified for the playoffs if the season was to end today. Now, we're not on a great pace lately. Something certainly got to change. And, we got to be dependent on the offense more, because the pitchers can only give us so much. You have young pitchers out there. We've seen both Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrop take the mound to little to no offense given in the same token. So for me, I really think they've got to show that, hey, we're here. We're gonna be here till the end of the season, and we're gonna be buyers, not sellers, come the deadline. And I think that's the case anyway. I think the players think that's the case anyway. I think the front office thinks that's the case. There's some fans out there that don't, but I do. And I think where we stand right now, we are still in the mix. We can still be competitive. If the Diamondbacks can do it last year, the Braves can do it this year. There's a lot of different ways you can win now. And I've argued before that you could argue that the regular season doesn't really all much matter. And I hate to say that, but it's the truth right now. You look at the way Major League Baseball's postseason shapes out, it's two different seasons. If you make it there, you have a chance. And, I really think that that's going to be the Braves' way to do it this year based on what we've seen. And look, they could rattle off 10 wins in a row and all of a sudden they're 3 games back or something. The Phillies may run into some problems. But right now, it's a distant second place in the division, and it's not a good place to be if you're the Atlanta Braves and the defending multi-time division title holders. It's not where they want to be, but it's where they find themselves, and they're going to have to adjust. So that's where I stand on it. But again, Alex Anthopoulos dropping interesting nuggets week by week, whether it be for us, whether it be for the team, whether it be for other, front offices. The Braves are open for business. If there is a prospect out there that another team wants, they're probably going to be traded. We'll see how it ages. And we've talked about names on here before of what we think could happen. I've brought up Eric Fetty before. We've gone through it time and time again. And we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to save that for later on down the road at this point. But there's a lot of names out there. We've established that. We've seen the trade market already show its head this year with Luis Arias being traded to the Padres. And, we've already seen teams make moves. I think the Braves are probably going to be the most active team at the trade deadline this year, if they can be. I certainly think Alex Anthopoulos is operating on an open door policy as of right now when it comes to other front offices and other GMs. I definitely think they're going to be more active than usual. And that's a good thing if history tells us anything. 2021, they were the most active team at the trade deadline. And I think you're going to see a similar trend this year. When we get back, we're going to talk about some exciting news. For those of you that don't know, I live in Columbus, Georgia. We've gotten some exciting news lately about minor league baseball returning to Columbus, and when we get back, we're going to talk about that. So stay with us, and of course, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, all that good stuff would really help us out.
Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
Make your way to GLYNN Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HTs are discounted up to $6,000 off. GLYNN Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile. Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At Glynn Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At Glynn Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back. So earlier this year, the city of Columbus, was given some great news that minor league baseball would be returning after a 15 some odd year absence here in the Chattahoochee Valley. And for those of you that don't live around here, for those of you that don't know, baseball is very prevalent here, whether it be at the Little League level, whether it be at the high school level. This is a baseball town. In 2007, the Little League World Series from Georgia, team that was from Georgia, was from here. I played at the Little League, Northern Little League, and they, of course, went on to win the Little League World Series. The Rasmus brothers are here. Frank Thomas was born here, played at Columbus High School. Tim Hudson played here and played at Chattahoochee Valley Community College and played at Glenwood in Phoenix City, which we're right on that Alabama border, so he's right here. So we have a lot of baseball history here, and in large part that's because we have a historic baseball park, formerly known as Historic Golden Park, which has held many names of baseball greatness throughout the years, whether it be Babe Ruth, whether it be Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Satchel Paige, Harmon Killebrew, all the way up to Tom Glavine, Chipper Jones, Dave Justice, you name it, in terms of Braves country. That said, there is an exciting development happening here in Columbus. If you haven't heard about it, allow me to tell you about it. We actually interviewed the new general manager, or the current general manager of the Mississippi Braves, which will, of course, be moving here to Columbus next season. And construction is already underway. They've ripped the old seats out. They are remodeling the historic Golden Park to a level that I think is going to be really cool to see. And as a Columbus native, as a guy who grew up going to that park with my granddad, my dad, watching ball games of the Columbus Catfish, I'm really excited about it. And as a guy who covers the Atlanta Braves, I'm even more excited about it that it is the Atlanta Braves. We've had a lot of iterations of minor league baseball here in Columbus, whether it be a Yankee product, a Cardinal product, a Tampa Bay Rays product. What we haven't had is an Atlanta Braves product. And now that we do, I think this is going to be great for the community, but beyond that, I think it's going to be great for the Braves. They are within state lines now. And I mentioned Tim Hudson earlier. I actually got to meet Tim Hudson last week. And it's kind of a good full circle moment, you know. I mean, I grew up knowing that the guy was practically from my hometown. I went to Golden Park when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and they were giving away Tim Hudson bobbleheads, and there I was interviewing Tim Hudson on the field there at Golden Park. So yeah, just a cool full circle moment. Of course, that was a part of the groundbreaking at now Synovus Park, and I left with one of these, a little hard hat, little memento of the event. But yeah, this is going to be very exciting for the community. As they come in, as the minor league team comes in, you may see more minor league coverage here on the channel. That's kind of the reason I'm telling you this now. So don't be surprised when it comes, for those of you out there watching. If it does happen and we're able to cover more minor league stuff, I will certainly be doing that. You know, and we're going to have more minor league interviews. We're going to have more minor league coverage, which is something I've been unable to do because I don't live in Gwinnett. I don't live in Atlanta. I don't live in Mississippi, right? I live here in Columbus, and here it is at my back door. So love to see it, love to have it, and we're excited to be a part of it. We were able to interview again the general manager of the team that will be coming here, currently the general manager of the Mississippi Braves, Pete Lavin. He will be taking over here in Columbus, so very exciting news. If you want to see that interview, you can literally see the construction of Golden Park there in that interview. It's on the channel. I suggest you go watch it, and I would certainly appreciate it. But yeah, a lot of exciting news here happening in Columbus. I wish I could tell you more. I don't know what the team name will be. We'll hear about that, I think, in September. You didn't hear that from me, but I think in September. we'll see what happens with that. I'm excited about it. And for those of you out there that have never been to Columbus, now you have a reason to come. But when we get back, we open up the door to your comments, so make sure to stay with us.
Are you ready to save big on a new GMC?
At GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika, you can own one of the best-selling vehicles in the USA. The GMC Sierra pickup is discounted up to $14,500 off. The roomy and comfortable GMC Terrains are up to $8,250 off. And the GMC Acadias with 3 spacious rows and seating for 7, discounted up to $8,000 off. At GLYNN Smith GMC in Opelika,
Get ready to smile. Are you ready to save big on a new Chevrolet?
make your way to GLYNN Smith Chevrolet. Choose America's #1 compact SUV, the Chevy Equinox, discounted up to $6,500 off. The powerful Chevy Silverados are up to $13,750 off. And the big Chevy Silverado 2500 HTs are discounted up to $6,000 off. GLYNN Smith Chevrolet in Opelika.
Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to get into your comments now, so make sure to get them in. Remember, Super Chats give you priority, all that good stuff. Happy to be here. I know we're here a little earlier than usual. I usually try to do these around 8, 9, 10 o'clock because that's when, frankly, most of the audience can be here. But being that we had the early game today, I went ahead and just hopped on. Let's go ahead and start with Daniel Berry. He just says simply, yo. Vision Music Works, one of the biggest supporters we have. Happy to have you here. Says, I've been waiting on this. I need some serious Braves baseball therapy. I think we all do, right? As Atlanta fans, we probably need just general sports therapy. If I'm your therapy, I'm glad I can help you and give you that service, but you probably need to go see a professional. No, seriously, happy to have you here. Fish Macon says, I get to go to the game tomorrow. You'll, of course, see the Braves take on the Rays. That'll be a lot of fun. So will Vision Music Works on Saturday. DG says, I've been attempting to stay calm and act like we're not the Oakland Athletics. I think we will get out of this because it's not the All-Star break yet. This happens in baseball, and yes, we are not used to this. That's really what this is, right? Like, you don't see Brian Snitker panicking. You don't see Alex Anthopoulos panicking. You don't see the players panicking. We're the ones panicking, right? And it's not because we care more. It's because, you know, we're not used to this as fans, and we don't play the game, frankly. But, you know, we are unfamiliar with this. And I really try to give you a logical take and approach on this stuff, because you can find yourself easily just losing your mind, right? We all have that friend. We all have seen people like that. And I don't think that's where we are right now. I think we're more just in an odd time. You know, I mean, there's some games that you watch and you're just like, it feels like the offense is dead. There's other times where you feel like the offense is right there, and then it's just not. And I really think, you know, the fact that they are at the bottom tier of all those offensive stats, yet have the highest hard hit percentage, you know, at some point it's got to break out. Let's see. Vision Music Works says, yeah, there have been a lot of hard hits right at someone or just dying in the outfield. I have to mention it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there are those of you out there. A lot of people are speculating that Major League Baseball has changed the baseball once again. Here's what I'm going to say on it. I don't know that they have. I have no proof. I don't know that I really believe it. What I will say is that if it was to come out that it had happened, I'd be like, oh, there it is. There it is. That's why that all happened. That's why when so-and-so hit a ball 105 off the bat, it died in left field. That doesn't happen, and here it is happening. So there have been some oddities, not only with the Braves, but with other teams. You know, we'll see. You know, this stuff usually has a way of coming out, and we'll see what happens. During Friday's game, they showed Major League Baseball stats like home runs in 24 versus 23. Major difference. Are pitchers really that good this year, or is it something else like balls changed by MLB? Typically, you know, when baseball always changes and evolves, and typically baseball kind of evolves with the performances of players. So what I mean by that is not the rules per se, but they do implement some changes to either help offense or kind of diminish offense too. So we've seen them help offense. Remember when the ball was juiced, but we've also seen them, implement things on the ball to make it less, it's slick or whatever the case may be. We've seen pitchers go to the sticky stuff. We saw baseball get rid of the sticky stuff. But way back in like 1968, for those of you that don't know, the mound was a lot higher, and that was the year of the pitcher, right? That was the year Bob Gibson just went nuts, and it was also the year that Denny McLain got 30 wins. He's the last 30-game winner. We have an interview with him on the channel, so go check that out. But that year after, following that, in 1969, they lowered the mound by like a foot, and offense ramped up again. So, because it was pitchers across the game, it wasn't just those two; it was everybody, or it was helping a lot of pitchers. And Major League Baseball felt the need to change it. Now, I'm not saying that they saw last year, they saw it happen, and they're like, okay, we've got to do something to bring down the offense. I don't know that that's the case, but it wouldn't surprise me. And it's definitely a conspiracy. You would think if they're going to do something like that, they should make it public knowledge. They don't always do that. We've heard before that they have some baseballs in the mix with juice baseballs. They don't know what they got sometimes. And until they get a consistent baseball, we're never really going to know. And it just is what it is. I just wish baseballs were consistent, and we knew they were consistent. We didn't worry about it, but you definitely have to take it under consideration. Scooter Puff says, "Hey, folks, we finally got one. Feels good. Runners in scoring position has been the big killer lately. We're getting a decent amount of guys on base, but we're consistently failing to deliver the big clutch hits we need." It's funny you say that because as much as it is a problem, it's something that year after year the Braves are guilty of. It's just finally caught up to us this year because the long ball's not in play right now. And I don't know what's going to change. Maybe they just got to focus on getting more base hits and less homers. I don't know. But there's definitely a shift here. And I don't know when it's going to change. I don't know if it will change. But the Braves offense has got to find a way to evolve. On the Go with CeeLo tunes in, one of our big supporters. If you don't follow On the Go with CeeLo for your Braves live streaming needs, I would. He provides a service that, frankly, I am unable to. He live streams during the games. He doesn't show you the game, but he shows you as much of the game as he can through virtual demonstrations and that kind of thing. He's a fun watch, and why not watch the game with a bunch of other Braves fans? He says, "What's up, Tyler? If we're in a bad position and we're sellers, could you see the team selling Ozuna and Fried?" Yeah, I could. Let's say just in a hypothetical, the Braves were to lose 10 in a row or something like that, in the next couple of weeks, and we're now 15 games out of the division or 20 games out of it. Let's say we're in the situation of the White Sox, just for happenstance. In that case, yeah, I think so, because at this point, it's in my opinion that Max Fried is as good as gone next year. And I could be wrong. I'm not an insider to that kind of thing. But the track record of the Braves, and frankly, the fact that he hasn't signed an extension up until this point, it just makes me feel like he's going somewhere for big money, right? And he's from the West Coast. I would just be surprised if he's brought back. So, yeah, if the Braves got to a point where, hey, we could justify selling someone because we're 20 games back and they're a free agent at the end of the year, and we can load up and get some starting pitchers for next year, or we can load up and get, another left fielder or whatever they deem that they need, yeah, they might do that. And I wouldn't have a problem with it. But if they did it under the circumstances now, I'd be surprised. That's the best way I can put it. Ozuna, if you sell Ozuna, you're selling the season. And I guess the same goes with Fried. But Ozuna's been by far your best hitter. So if you get rid of those guys, like you're giving up 2025. So to me, it would take the Braves really being out of contention. And right now, they have yet to be out of wildcard contention. They've yet to be eliminated from the wildcard. Now, granted, if they were in the American League, they wouldn't be in the wildcard right now. But you do have the Reds, Cubs, Cardinals, Pirates, Diamondbacks, Nationals all kind of breathing down your neck. Who'd have imagined that the Nationals would be having a better year than the Mets a couple of years ago? I don't think anybody. Scooter Puff says, did you see that they did an anonymous players poll on what team you'd want to play for given the choice, and the Braves were the number one desirable destination by a wide margin? And to be honest with you, not surprised at all. At all. When you talk to the players, when you see them in the clubhouse, when you see how they interact, I'm not surprised at all. Now, I will say that that poll is not perfect, okay? There's 700 some odd people playing in Major League Baseball. They got like 100 replies on most of them. So it's 1/7. I mean, it's a good sampling, but it's not everybody. Why wouldn't you want to play for the Braves? You got an electric fan base. You got a great stadium, brand new stadium, state-of-the-art everything. You have a team that's, take it with a grain of salt, that's kind of an eternal contender. You don't really have any issues. You're not in Oakland. Why wouldn't you want to play for the Braves? Not surprised at all. I mean, there's other, great stadiums out there. Frankly, if I was a player, I'd probably like to play at like Wrigley Field, just for the history. But in terms of where would I want to live, it's easy access to the stadium. It's in, a good neighborhood. It's well managed by the front office. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play in Atlanta? I would definitely, if I'm picking out all of them. I've told you before that Truist Park is probably in my top 5 parks out of all of them, and I've been to almost 20. So, not that I've been to all of them. I'm sure San Diego's up there. LA's nice. I get all that. But, out of all the ones I've been to, the Braves really have that, they have it perfectly figured out, and who wouldn't want to play in front of the Tomahawk Chop? That's all I got to say. Scooter Puff says, I've also made peace with Max leaving. I'd really just prefer he land anywhere but the Dodgers. Yeah, I feel like the most likely one is probably the Padres. That's what I feel is most likely because they're willing to spend money like it's going out of style, just like the Dodgers are. It feels to me like that is his most likely destination. Maybe it's Arizona. That's closer to California. There's a lot of teams it could be. Seattle, even Texas. You cut the flight in half, at least that way. I'd be surprised if he was to go anywhere on the East Coast. I mean, look, money talks, we all know, but I would just be kind of surprised by that. So for me, I feel like he's going to go to the Padres, or like Jake Hobby says, maybe the Angels, and he'll reunite with Ron Washington. Walker says, I feel like our hitting will probably be better next year. If anyone to trade, Ozuna would be the one to trade at the deadline. It would be nice to try and restock our minors. Here's the thing, though, right? You don't restock your minors with one player. I mean, you'll get a few. But the max amount of guys you're going to get is like, 5 to 6, if you're lucky. Most of them probably not being top tier, and you're going to have to trade with a team that's like, maybe like the Astros. They always got good minors. The Dodgers always got good minors. I don't even know who's at the top of the minor league rankings right now. In fact, I'm about to go find that out. I don't know if stocking our minors is really where they're going to go. I wouldn't be surprised, let me say that. But I think the Braves are looking to be competitive for the next 5 years. They have all these guys locked up. You have Ozzie locked up till 2027, I think. You have Acuna locked up till 28. I would just kind of be surprised if they were to, just say, okay, well, if we have okay guys, we'll let them play here. But if you're going to sell, you're going to sell everybody. That's typically the way it goes. I would just be surprised if you just get rid of Ozuna to get 5 minor leaguers. I would be surprised because, frankly, let's say you're trying to be competitive next year. How much are more minor leaguers going to really help you in that? And if you're not trying to be competitive next year, then what are you going to do having Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, Chris Sale, Spencer Strider? What are you going to do with all these guys' contracts that are locked up and yet you're not competitive? That's not really the way the Braves work. It's the way a lot of other teams work, but it's not the way they operate. I feel like they're going to either keep their pieces or they're not. When the Braves rebuild, they typically go all in. That's what happened back in 2013 when they traded, think about it, Justin Upton, BJ Upton, Craig Kimbrell, Dan Uggla. They got rid of all of it. I mean, they wiped it clean. The only one they kept was Freddie Freeman, right? And I would just be surprised if that's not how they go about the next one. It's coming one day, but I think they're going to get as much out of this crop of talent as they can while not paying them astronomical amount of money. Walker says, we're just wickedly unlucky this year. I agree with that. The hard hit percentage is kind of telling you that. They won't tell you that. The players won't make that excuse. Snit won't make that excuse. I will make that excuse. They have been very unlucky, and there's truth to that. And a lot of people get mad when you say that. I'm sure my comments are going to have a few where you just can't make excuses for bad baseball. And, it's not an excuse, but it's a reason. It's like, look, if I hit it 105 off the bat and it goes straight to the left fielder and hits him in the chest, and it happens over and over and time again, that is what it is. It's not like they're making base running mistakes. It's not, it's not like there's anything to really criticize other than the numbers, right? And I think when we look at it, that's what's so frustrating, right? I'm frustrated. I know you're frustrated. Imagine how the players feel, because they're sitting there going, I'm doing everything I know to do, everything that has worked before, and for some reason, I cannot square up a baseball. Matt Olson again, coming out of that. Austin Riley, still kind of struggling. Sean Murphy, up and down. At some point, they're going to hit a wave and take off. But for now, we find ourselves where we are. Scooter Puff says, when it comes to the minors, I hope we don't draft pitching high. I feel like we have half a dozen prospect arms, all kind of log jammed in the system, but not a whole lot of depth anywhere else. I agree with you, and that's what I think we trade. A lot of people are asking me, well, Tyler, if we're going to get a starting pitcher, what are we going to trade? Okay, Darius Vines, Alan Winans, maybe a Schwellen back if you're getting somebody worth losing a talent like that. Ian Anderson, Bryce Elder, Dylan Dodd. Am I forgetting anybody? You have guys, and that's kind of the problem, right? Like Spencer Schwellenbach made his way through the minors like that, right? Because he's a standout talent. But we have all these other guys who are just kind of holding up space. That's why when everybody was upset about Michael Soroka being traded, I really wasn't, because I knew he had all these other arms, and at some point, it's either you're ready to go or you're not. And I think we all love Michael Soroka, but we found ourselves in a point where it was, do or die, and, the decision was made. We're going to wrap it up there, I believe. And really enjoyed the stream, guys. Happy you all are here. I do have a big announcement, a big personal announcement, for those of you that don't know. I proposed last week with my longtime girlfriend, Megan. Of course, these are the pictures. Of course, very exciting, and happy, to be honest with you, happy it's over with, because I was stressed out beyond belief. But yeah, this was a big moment for me, and I didn't really have any words prepared to say here, but no, we went up to Pretty Place there in South Carolina. If you've ever been, it's a great view. Megan's always wanted to go there, so I had to kind of get her off my tracks about the proposal idea. I'm not proposing. Just forget it. I'm not proposing. She believed it, I think. At least that's what she's telling me. But no, out of all of what I do, she supports all of it. She supports the channel. She's been in here a few times watching. She doesn't, keep me from doing any of it. She likes the fact that, I like to go to games, and she likes the fact that I travel and do work and stuff. I mean, it takes someone like that with a lot of patience to, to be that person. So glad she is. But that's where we're going to end it tonight. Usually I know we go longer. Not a ton to talk about tonight. And but hopefully the Braves turn it around, obviously. And, of course, thank you for all the congrats. I really appreciate that. But yeah, very exciting news. And I guess in about a year, we'll be planning for a wedding. So, well, we already are planning for a wedding, but in about a year, we'll be celebrating said wedding. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm not taking any time off yet. Everybody calm down in the chat. I'm not taking any time off. I've already taken the time off to go do that. We have a year, and then I'll probably be taking 2 weeks off. But, I think, there's bigger things in baseball sometimes, and that was certainly one. So thank you for the congrats. I really appreciate it. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. If you would, please do us a favor, like the video on the way out, all that good stuff. And also, go check out our friends at GLYNN Smith Chevrolet. They do great work. If you need a vehicle, they're the best place to go. Of course, they're located in Opelika, and we would love it if you go check them out and tell them we sent you. If you're looking for a new vehicle, they are the best place to go. And, of course, they are our presenting sponsor, and they give us a lot of support. And we'll, of course, be looking to do an on-the-road show once again from their showroom. And we'll be looking forward to doing that. We'll try to make that a big show and have some, some fun stuff, maybe a couple of guests, that kind of thing. But it ought to be a lot of fun. But again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.